Welcome back to 2022 and welcome to Capital A Trading's first episode of the Forex Weekly. So again, for those of you who don't know, it's just going to be me analysing the charts, bringing the best investment opportunities to you, showing you how I'm going to tackle them, and then of course we can see how they progress throughout the week. So if that sounds good, if you actively trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner, stay up to date with the channel. There's a lot of exciting content coming this year, educational and investment tips. With that being said, I just want to say a quick shout out to my sponsors, The Absolutely Magazine. It's available now in all Waitrose and M&S stores. You can check out my article on page 95. With that being said, let's get into the charts.
Okay, so as usual, I'm going to start with gold. Now, there was something that I mentioned at the back end of last year around the 1840 mark, and it looks like today we're starting to see the effect of it. So if I just quickly break this down a little bit, I wanted to see price get up towards this area here. It threatened to, and then it started to make a massive push to the downside. So I'm just going to watch this week to see how it progresses, if it's going to come back up towards this level, maybe towards the later part of the week, and then hopefully we'll start to see that transaction be created again, and then a big push to the downside. Also, while we're thinking about that, I just want to watch what's going to happen here, bang on the 1800 mark. I just want to see what price is going to do, if it's going to start its push from here. That will be step one. That will be me starting to feel confident about the trade. And then, of course, if we can see it up here later in the week, struggling around the 1840, let's say 1850, give it a bit of space to breathe. It is gold. And then, of course, the US dollar, known for getting strong in the later part of the week, will be something that I'm very confident on. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the gold USD. Okay, next up is going to be the US 30. Now, for those of you who follow me, who watched the videos, who caught them at the back end of last year, there was a very good trade caught on the US 30 and a very powerful move to the downside. What's happened now is price has wiped out this area, taken all the liquidity that's above here, and started to create that transaction again. So here I am on the 4-hour time frame, and I'm just going to start to break it down. So if I come onto the 2-hour and the 1-hour, you'll start to see where the area of manipulation was. This was what they did. They shot price up and then flushed it to the downside. They came back to the same area, and it looks like now they're having another flush to the downside. So what I would suggest is just watching the retest back towards the 36,600, 36,700. If we start to see price just pulling back up towards here, be confident in the sell from this area, from this candle. I'm expecting price not to go higher than there for a little while. Now, of course, the US 30 is at all-time highs. It's never been this high. So I'm expecting a drop off because of that reason. So keep an eye on that. It's the US 30. Okay, again, for those of you who follow me, this was at the back end of last year. We had that trade from around the 7,300 mark. And what we're looking at now is prices coming back towards that weekly area. So what I want to do is just be patient, let price show me that a transaction's being created here, and then hopefully I'll see another opportunity. So be sure to check out the video that I release later this week, where I'll just be updating towards the end of the week what I can see in the charts. Look out for the UK 100 opportunity in there. I just want to see price. Obviously now it's come back up towards this level. I want to see it struggle, push down, come back towards the area and start to create that transaction again. Keep an eye on that one. It's the UK 100. Okay, so just a quick update on oil. Towards the later part of last year, price has just been making monstrous moves to the downside. I do believe now it's starting to fight back, and I'm expecting to see price back up towards the $84, $82 a barrel. So what I'm looking at now is just this area here around the 73 mark. I want to see what happens. I just want to see if it's going to interact with that candle, and then hopefully we can start to see a push to the upside. So I'm looking at a buy position here on that 73 mark. So just keep an eye on that this week. See what happens. Let it play out. Let it show you that price is struggling. Let it show you that price is struggling to go lower. If you start to see that, we can focus on the buy push, which again, I'm expecting to see price back towards the 82, 84 mark. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be US oil. Okay, let's get into the currencies. Now, the first thing is the Euro AUD. I just want to speak about what I'm seeing here on the daily time frame. It looks like we're starting to trend down. It looks like the Euro is coming back to a key selling area where they're looking to continue their push to the downside. So if I just start to break that down and come onto the 4-hour, it's the 158 level. That's going to be the key number that I'm watching. I want to see price get back up towards here. If I just come down to a 2-hour, you'll start to see that I can clearly see there's been a transaction made in this area on the 158 level. So as I'm watching the euro progress today, I just want to see it get to this level, start to struggle, show me that you can't go higher, and I'll be happy to take a position there for the Australian dollar to gain some strength. Now, again, UK time, this will be good to take a trade in the evening, as the Australian dollar is known for getting strong while we are asleep. Keep an eye on that. It's the Euro AUD. Okay, so we've just had a look at the Euro AUD. We'll now take a look at the Euro NZD, and a very similar piece of price action is looking like it's starting to kick off. If I just start to break this down, we've had that lovely move to the back end of last year from that 168 mark, a nice drop down to the downside around 200 to 250 pips. And it's now starting to just fight back towards these areas. So again, I'm going to keep an eye on the 167 this week. I just want to see, as we can see already, it's starting to struggle around this sort of scenario here. However, it may come back to where that big move has already come from and do the same thing again. So keep an eye on them both. Let's just see which one's going to look more likely. I'd say by the end of the week, I'd be happy to take a position somewhere here if it's still struggling. If it starts to show me that it's starting to progress a bit higher, then I'll wait on the 168 level. So again, it's the Euro NZD. Keep an eye on the 167 to the 168 level. I believe we're going to get a move from one of them points. Okay, next up is the pound Swiss franc. Now, throughout the whole of last year, I was mentioning the sell from the 128 mark, and now towards the back end of last year, we can now see the progression that's made a very, very profitable opportunity if you caught on to that. What I'm looking at now is that I believe we're going to continue with that bearish action. We're going to continue with price pushing to the downside. I believe overall, it could come at least to the 120 mark, maybe even the 116 mark. So what I'm looking at now is the 124,500. Price is now retracing into a nice area where we know the big banks, the financial institutions may start to step in. And it's the 124,500 mark to the 125 that I'm going to keep analyzing. Again, as you can see, we're slowly starting to progress up to that area, but it's still a bit more time to go. So just keep an eye on that one. When it gets there, be ready to take some action. That's the pound Swiss franc. Okay, next up is going to be the AUD USD. Now, again, to the back end of last year, I was screaming about that sell between the 72, 73 mark. And what we're starting to see now today is the progression of that. And now we're starting to see it make its move to the downside. What I want to see for the rest of the week is just price start to struggle, start to come back up towards the area around the 72,400, 72,600. I'm just going to see if there's going to be more signs of struggle there. And then hopefully we can get a position for the US dollar, which is known for getting stronger later in the week. At the moment, it's getting strong now. Let's hope for more by, say, Thursday, Friday. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the AUD USD. It's the 72,400, 72,600 mark. Look out for price struggle in there. Okay, next up is the pound CAD. Walk with me here. So first of all, what I want to mention is what I've seen. It looks like price has come to that 173, just underneath the 173 mark. It's come to this candle here, had an interaction with it and dropped. So what I believe now is that we're going to start to create that transaction again where price is just going to come back up to this point and we're going to start to see our movements to the downside. If I break it down a little bit more, you can start to see the area a little bit more clearly. I do believe it could stop here at the 172 mark, as it's already started to show signs of that. However, I'm going to remain patient, wait on the 172,500. I believe it's going to interact with this area here, and then we're going to start to see price pushing at least maybe down to the 170 mark. So a nice 250 pip move. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the pound CAD. Okay, so next up is going to be the pound NZD. Now the analysis is very simple here. It's the 2 mark. I'm looking at the 2 mark, the whole number. As you can see, there has been some key sell pushes towards the back end of last year, a monstrous sell to the downside. And now at the start of the year, it seems to be pushing right back towards that 2 mark. So just keep an eye on that. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's see if it's going to create that movement again, start to show me a sign of struggle, show me a candle where price has tried to reach up and then been absorbed. And I'll be happy to hopefully take a position on that 2 mark for the sell. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the pound NZD. Okay, so next up is going to be the Euro JPY. Now, again, I want to talk about how the movement's been going from the summer of last year, just how it's been pushing down and then coming back to this area around the 134 mark and then making new movements to the downside. I have another one as I break down the time frame. I want to see price come up towards this 132 mark, 132,500. Give it a bit of space to breathe. I want to see price hit into this level, kind of how it did in October last year, and then start that massive movement to the downside, which hopefully we can ride to at least the 126 mark. So keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the 132,500 Euro JPY. Okay, last but not least, it's going to be the pound AUD. Now, straight away, I want to talk about the 189, the 188 mark, how we've had price moving out of here, like I say, around last year. And now, early in the year, it's starting to push back towards these areas. It looks like to me a lot of transactions are trying to be made early in the year. So if I just start to break this down, what I want to see, as you can see, prices heading to the upside. I want to see it struggle at that 188, 300 mark. Just give it a bit of space to breathe. This is where I want to see it interact with. And then, of course, start that new movement to the downside. So just keep an eye on it. We want to see price struggling in here, hopefully creating that movement, that transaction, the bearish environment. Then hopefully we can catch on to an investment opportunity. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the pound Australian dollar.
Okay, guys, that's all from me this week. Again, keep an eye on the investment opportunities, see how they progress, see what you could do to tackle one of them maybe, and then we'll see how it progresses at the end of the week. So with that being said, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. I promise you, this year, this will be the channel for you. I just want to say a quick shout out to my sponsors, the Absolutely magazine. Check it out now. It's available in all Waitrose and M&S stores. My article is on page 95. Have a great trading week.